Europe is currently experiencing an intense heat wave. Along with it, wildfires. Blazes have been raging in France, Greece, Portugal and Spain. Thousands of residents and holidaymakers have been forced to flee as wildfires have been sweeping across much of southwest Europe. On your screen right now are all the active fires in Europe in the last 24 hours. This is the second heat wave to engulf parts of Europe in weeks. Scientists are blaming climate change and predict more frequent and intense episodes of extreme weather. In Spain, authorities have reported around 20 wildfires still raging out of control across the country. The fires have already killed several emergency personnel since last week. Helicopters were used to drop water on the flames. Temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius and often mountainous terrain, making the job harder for the firefighters. In the coastal city of Malaga, over 3,000 people have been evacuated after a blaze started on Friday in the Mijas mountain range.
Still very worrying to see that as soon as the wind picks up the next day, lots of little hot spots start on fire again, and it's nerve-wracking, but it's really good to see that the professionals are on the case, but also worrying that I hear that they're starting to run out of water in different places for the helicopters to collect and to spread, so they're having to go further and further away from the fire each time to collect the water.
In France, over 16,000 people have been forced to evacuate. 7 emergency shelters have been set up for evacuees. France's Interior Ministry announced it would be sending an extra 3 firefighting planes, 200 firefighters and more trucks. The country's meteorologists warning of a heat apocalypse in southwest France.
Alors, la situation est particulièrement inédite en Gironde pour plusieurs choses. La première, c'est qu'on a 2 grands feux simultanés qui se sont déclenchés quasiment au même moment. Très difficile d'accès sur la Teste, puisque zone dunaire, donc avec engagement de nombreux moyens. Et très étendu, je dirais assez rapidement, sur l'Andiras, qui a nécessité aussi énormément de moyens. Donc il a fallu, pour le département de la Gironde, trouver des ressources que l'on avait dans un premier temps, pour pouvoir essayer de traiter très rapidement, d'intervenir très rapidement sur cet incendie.
In Portugal, almost the entire country remained on high alert for wildfires despite a slight drop in the temperatures. The country witnessed temperatures rising to 47 degrees Celsius on Thursday, a record for the month of July. But on Sunday, only one major fire was burning in the north. The fires have killed 2, injured around 60 and destroyed over 12,000 hectares of land in Portugal. In Italy, fires have been sparked by the worst drought in 70 years and by extreme heat waves raging through the Italian peninsula. A fire broke out on Friday in a cornfield on the border between the Veneto and Friuli regions. Firefighters battled another wildfire on Saturday, which hit a forest near the small town of San Polo dei Cavalieri, some 45 kilometers from Rome. Italy is experiencing extreme drought conditions that are spreading throughout the country, with rivers and reservoirs drying up. Temperatures are expected to rise to 42 degrees Celsius in many Italian cities in the north of the country this week. In Greece, firefighters battled blazes on the island of Crete on Saturday after several fires spread on the island since Friday. The fire service said 120 firefighters were tackling the flames, assisted by 5 helicopters. Greece suffers destructive wildfires every summer. In 2018, more than 100 people died in a blaze at the Mati seaside resort east of Athens. Since then, authorities have focused on swift precautionary evacuations of the inhabited areas under threat. Our correspondent Rosie Butchert has been tracking all those latest updates. She's getting us this report from Paris. Take a look.
Only few people braving the streets of Paris today, most inside with the shutters closed, a few tourists on the top deck of the tourist bus, but really Paris streets, many of them empty as people are taking shelter from these temperatures which may break records in part of the country. Here in Paris, temperatures set to reach up to 39 degrees here today and to peak on Tuesday before they descend. That is a similar story in other parts of the country, and the part most affected, as you mentioned, is the southwest of the country in the Gironde region, where thousands of firefighters have been battling blazes. Thousands of residents and tourists have been evacuated, and operations have been underway to help residents get back in with firefighter escorts to, for example, rescue their pets. So some really dramatic scenes unfolding there in southwestern France, and thousands of hectares of forest scorched within a matter of days. So the country's weather agency has now put 15 of France's regions on a red alert, with the health ministry reminding people who feel vulnerable, the older people and those with medical conditions, that they can call a national helpline for help, and they can also try to draw on those measures that we heard before, staying hydrated, staying cool. So France very much looking toward a peak tomorrow on Tuesday, and those similar practical implications also unfolding. Many disruptions across the country's rail network, and many people simply staying at home in order to try and avoid the worst of this heat. But of course, let's not forget, some people have to work outside. Construction workers, for example, and Health Ministry trying to suggest that those workers should take even greater care to stay hydrated, to stay in the shade where possible as these temperatures just soar.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.